Hi everybody, I'm Rainbow and welcome to Dimensional Walking. Today I thought I would do a short video on common terms that are used in different aspects of what we would call astral projection, remote viewing, out-of-body experiences. And so that's why I'm calling today's video Memory Recall Dreams and Visions, because for me, I think I helped kind of muddy up the water a little bit because I call, well, Thunderbow, and I called what I was doing when I was in the dream realm and I was doing all these different types of training for learning how to be in different dimensions and different places. He called it dimensional walking. So I think we're basically saying the same thing when we use all these different terms. Remote viewing is obviously something that is done in the conscious mind when you're awake. But it's not really much different than dimensional walking when I'm in a sleep state in the body, but my mind is continuing on. I think the end result is the same, but I think we just call it something a little bit different. But I think that if you can kind of go in the mind to wherever you need to go to, then the world is an entirely different type of I think it'd be a different type of existence because our tunnel vision of what we think reality is and what this world is would be so much broader. So I think that we intuitively were able to do many things hundreds of years ago. But I think that we've lost these abilities. And I think we've lost the ability because of technology. I think when we had to depend on ourselves to be able to psychically look into something, it was a no-brainer. We were able to do it. But nowadays, people who call themselves intuitives or empaths or psychics, it's not that we're considered bizarre because I think everybody is a bit of each one of these. But I think that where it would be more common hundreds of years ago, I think now it's something that because of technology and because of the access to other realms through technology, that we have kind of excluded ourselves. And it's funny because we're the common denominator in all of this. We're the ones that actually will be the experiencers of whatever you want to call it. But with the different aspects of remote viewing, astral projection, out of body experiences, things like that, if you look at what each one is, they're all slightly different. Like I said, remote viewing is being in the waking state and being able to take your mind and psychically be able to go out and either see a destination, see a person, go into a location, examine whatever you have to examine, come back and be able to recall in detail. Now, the thing that I'm going to say about memory recall is something a little bit different because I think memory recall, what I kind of connect it to is past lives. So, for example, past life that I remember was being in World War II. I was not Jewish. I was helping Jews escape, and I had a relationship with a Nazi officer. I think I knew him before he became uh, a part of the the Nazi belief system. But he moved up quickly, and I didn't agree with what he was doing, and he knew what I was doing, but he just let it go. He let it go to a point to where I was just moving a lot of people out, and it was becoming a problem for him. So I remember hiding from him. I actually had the memory recall of where I believed that I was like reliving it. Memory recall to me is just reliving something. I relived it. I was hiding in a Jeep under a cover. Two Nazi officers pulled the covers off, and there I was. And as I was trying to get away, this officer shot me in the back. Well, years later, as I was going through a lot of memory recall in past lives, I had got to know a gal who was the owner of a hotel. And I was talking about this probably in a bit more detail than what I am now, but I was talking about this memory recall and told her and a couple other people about it. A couple weeks later, go to the hotel for breakfast, and she's telling me that she actually experienced this exact memory, except she was the male officer. And it totally freaked her out. She had the memory of actually shooting me in the back. And I looked at her and I thought that was very strange. But I think that in life, we kind of rekindle that relationship with people that we've known multiple past lifetimes. And so it was always this odd kind of like weird elephant in the room for her and I because she was happily married. Obviously, I was with Thunderbow. And but to have that know that knowledge of that intimacy was a little strange. And so it was odd for both of us. But it extremely odd for her because she saw herself as a man, which we have to understand that we are men and women in lifetimes. We're not just one gender. So anyways, to me, that's memory recall. Now, I think visions is something a little different because I truly believe the vision aspect is you can see visions of the future, visions of the past. You can see visions of situations that have happened in your life that have been closed off to you, like what happened with me when all the memories came back to me of all the experiences that I had with the alien abductions. And I happened to be in a car, something took over my body. I had a screenshot of all these experiences that I had with these abductions. And somehow, some way, something got me to the location that I was destined to be at. And so, to me, that we could call that memory recall, but it affected me in a different way, more like a vision would where my body was basically paralyzed. That's why I was saying I have no idea how I got to the location I was supposed to be at. So to me, visions affect you in a very unique and different way. And as far as dreams, dreams I think are so necessary as they have proven, where we have to have them to work out daily situations and emotional stuff that happens. If we can work it out in the dream state, then that makes us a little bit healthier humans. And that's kind of why I believe the dreams are necessary. But I think there's symbology in dreams that happens that actually means something. Just recently, I had a dream where I had Kachina dolls, or one Kachina doll in the dream that had his mouth sewn shut. And he was a very old Kachina. And I knew somebody had done something to it. And I almost felt like if I had taken the taken the strings off his mouth and freed his mouth, which I know that sounds odd, that it was almost like a genie in the bottle. I would have helped something come out of the Kachina that normally wasn't able to because somebody had kind of cursed it to stay within the Kachina itself. So whatever spirit was in there, I think I freed. I didn't sense anything negative about it, but I think that in that dream sense, it was not so much dimensional walking. It was really something more symbolic as far as what I maybe was experiencing in my normal reality. So I think dreams actually coincide with how we live our lives. And maybe there's some part of me that felt like, I wasn't able to speak my truth. Who knows? All I know is that the symbology of dreams has a lot to do with trying to get us to look at situations in a more enlightened way. So, astral projection to me, it's a little bit different than dimensional walking because it's the dimensional walking is, I always have the sense that I have my body with me. I think astral projection, you have the sense of self, but not necessarily the body. And then obviously another term is out of body experiences, and that's when someone leaves their body, which in remote viewing they do that. There's been claims to where when people get to a certain point in remote viewing, they actually come out of their body and they can turn and see their body right there with them. So there's different levels of remote viewing that people can do. It just depends on what you want to call it. It's I think all these terms are very similar in explaining different aspects of what we do out of the body versus what we do inside the body. So for me, what kind of muddies it up is all these terminologies, which mean basically the same thing. And maybe I added to that because our name of our channel is Dimensional Walking. But this is something that Thunderbow had created and decided that this is something that we would go further on. And I would go ahead and just continue on that journey of figuring out what I could do in the dimensional walking in the dream world. So when I was thinking about all of this, I was thinking, well, no matter what we do, as long as we have a sense of ourself when we're doing it, that's the most important thing. I know that there's varying degrees of abilities of people out there who can do phenomenal things when they do leave their body. I know that in remote viewing, especially with many governments, there's a lot of these different projects where they actually train people to be able to go in and delve into worlds where they can actually see each other, they can actually look for things, and they actually can train people to look for people who are able to do remote viewing. So it's a world that's beyond science fiction, it's reality. And I think that's the problem is that a lot of this is kind of people go, oh, well, this is just science fiction. This is just in a movie. And that's how a lot of the stuff is hidden in plain sight, is that a lot of the things that different groups are able to do may be in a movie and they may be plotted in for a purpose. Because if the truth was really out there, I think, it'd be hard for certain people to grasp the idea that we're able to do this. So as an empath, for me, I think it's freeing to be able to do all of this. I think that if we truly knew what we were capable of doing, that our world would be entirely different than what it is today. I think that we would be limitless as a society instead of limited within the boundaries of what people think is 9 to 5 and what they think is the the you know the term where they say the only thing that we know for a fact that we have to deal with in life is death and taxes. Well, that's baloney. That's just kind of the ceiling that's been created in this society that keeps us from really understanding what we're capable of doing. And all I'm saying is that even though we have all these different terminologies, but all these different aspects of what actually people have talked about, written about, and done, it all basically means the same thing. That if you have a sense of self, and you work on yourself, and you work on your abilities, there's so many things out there that you can do. It has nothing to do with, I think, the religious aspect of this world. It has to do with that true connection to source and to self. And when you have true connection to source and to self, and you remember yourself, then all these things that I just talked about, which are basically a lot of the same thing, or they're cousins to each other, they're nothing. We're able to do them because I believe we were born knowing how to do all of this. It's just reminding ourselves that we can do this. And I think that's always been the case, is that it's amazing what we forget as we get older. It's amazing what I knew when I was younger that I have chosen to forget as I've gotten older. So let's stop that. I don't want to do that anymore. As an older female, I want to be able to do the same stuff that I was able to do when I was 6. I was able to do phenomenal things when I was 6. Levitation was one of them. And I'm going to be able to do that. I know I am. I'm going to remember how to do that. So, with that being said, understand that my message today is that you are more than you think you are. That's what it's all about. Remembering who you are and remembering what you're capable of doing. So, on that note, take care. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.